Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the show that cuts through the noise to bring you, well, the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight.
And today, we're doing something a bit special.
That's right, we're putting on our Talk Tickers hat, focusing entirely on the recent third fiscal quarter financial results and the business update call from Nano Nuclear Energy, Inc. You'll often hear them called NNE.
Yeah, NNE. Our mission today, really give you a clear, comprehensive understanding of their recent performance, but maybe more importantly, their strategic direction.
Exactly, highlighting what truly matters for their, let's face it, ambitious journey in the advanced nuclear sector.
It's a really fascinating snapshot, isn't it? A company right on the front lines of this nuclear renaissance everyone's talking about.
Definitely. We're going to distill the essential figures, but like you said, unpack the strategic moves that are really defining their path forward.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so let's start with the hard numbers. Just a quick snapshot of their results for the quarter ending June 30, 2025.
Go where?
NNE reported a GAAP EPS of negative $0.19. Now, what's really notable here is that this significantly beat the analyst consensus estimate.
Ah, okay. What was the estimate?
Negative $0.27. So, they beat by $0.00, outperformed expectations on the bottom line.
That's pretty good for this stage. And as expected, I assume GAAP product and service revenue was?
Zero. Yeah, as anticipated for a company like this.
Right. But they did generate some other income, didn't they?
They did. A solid $1.8 million from consulting and lease activities. And that was right in line with expectations.
Okay. So overall net loss?
Around $7.6 million for the quarter. Operational spending mostly driven by G&A, general and admin costs, about $5.3 million, and then R&D.
Research and development. Critical. How much?
About $3.7 million in R&D. So significant investment there.
Makes sense. But here's the kicker, I imagine. The balance sheet.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting and frankly pretty reassuring for them. NE has an incredibly robust liquidity position.
It's robust.
They closed the quarter with over $210 million in cash and equivalents.
Wow. Okay.
Plus nearly $209 million in working capital. Now, in an industry as capital intensive as advanced nuclear, how much of a game changer is that kind of cash?
Oh, it's a massive differentiator. I mean, really huge. This gives them a remarkable runway, lets them aggressively advance their programs without that immediate pressure of, constantly looking for more financing.
Right, execute with confidence.
Exactly. And the market noticed, right? The stock reacted pretty favorably after the call.
It did. It reflects that investor approval of the operational progress and, of course, that very solid cash position, even though they're still pre-revenue.
Yeah, it signals confidence they can hit those future milestones.
Okay, so let's dive deeper then. Because Nano Nuclear Energy this quarter clearly wasn't about immediate revenue.
No, not at all.
It was all about strategic execution, de-risking their ambitious long-term vision, and, while smartly leveraging those big cash reserves.
And the first, maybe most striking move on that front was that KRONOS Microreactor acquisition.
Right, the Micromodular Reactor, or MMR. Tell us why that was such a strategic coup back in January.
Well, that KRONOS acquisition was, frankly, a masterstroke. NNE got it for less than $10 million.
Less than $10 million.
Yeah. Despite the previous owner having already sunk over $120 million into its development.
Good grief.
Think about that. NNE basically fast-tracked years of R&D and, potentially avoided hundreds of millions in early-stage investment. It just catapulted their commercialization timeline.
Smart leveraging, acquiring a high-maturity asset at a huge discount.
Exactly.
And they're clearly not letting KRONOS just sit on the shelf.
Yep.
In the U.S., they're making really tangible, rapid progress, deploying it at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, UIUC.
That UIUC project is key. They signed a strategic collaboration agreement back in April.
And crucially, they got that approved fuel qualification methodology topical report from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the USNRC.
Yes. Now, for those listening who aren't, steeped in regulatory jargon.
Which is most of us.
Right. Why is that fuel qualification methodology topical report such a big deal?
Explain it for us.
It's a massive regulatory hurdle cleared. It sounds technical, but it means the USNRC has officially signed off on how NNE plans to prove the safety and performance of the specific nuclear fuel they'll use in KRONOS.
Okay, so it's like getting the recipe approved before you bake the cake.
Kind of, yeah. It's a non-negotiable step. It validates their approach to fuel safety before construction can even really be considered.
And to back that up, they brought in AECOM.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah.
Engaged AECOM, the global infrastructure giant, under a master services agreement. AECOM's now supporting all the critical site-specific engineering, environmental analysis, regulatory planning, all the groundwork at UIUC.
Essential stuff for that upcoming construction permit application.
Absolutely essential precursor work.
And the timeline they're targeting seems pretty ambitious. Submission by late 2025 or early Q1 2026.
It is ambitious. And if they hit that, NNE could potentially be the first commercial microreactor in the U.S. to reach that critical milestone.
And they're estimating approval in, what, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, they're prudently estimating 12 to 18. They noted the 18-month federal mandate applies to all license applications.
Right. And they mentioned KRONOS' reactor got approval in 16 months, even with a more novel design.
Exactly. So they have a recent benchmark suggesting it's achievable within that window.
But what's fascinating is this isn't just a U.S. play, is it? They have a dual-track approach.
That's right. While pushing hard in the U.S., they're also focused on resuming formal licensing for KRONOS up in Canada.
And KRONOS already has some history there.
It does. It was actually the first microreactor to complete Phase 1 review with the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission, the CNSC. Plus, Canadian Nuclear Laboratories, CNL, has already allocated land at Chalk River for the project.
And the Canadian government seems interested too, through their Strategic Innovation Fund.
Yeah, they're exploring involvement. And you can see why, right? The potential for microreactors like KRONOS to serve maybe 300 remote communities currently burning diesel.
It's huge. A game changer for energy independence and clean power in those remote areas.
Definitely. Now, shifting to the tech itself, the KRONOS MMR, it's a stationary modular system.
And it combines a proven reactor design with a high readiness level.
Exactly. A proven high-temperature gas reactor, HTGR, designed with a high technology readiness level, or TRL, means it's not just theory, it's well-vetted tech.
Output.
Offers 15 megawatts electric, 45 megawatts thermal. And NNE really highlights its modular design for easier on-site assembly, its scalability, and the benefits you get from mass manufacturing factory fabrication.
Right, economies of scale.
Precisely.
And what really stands out to me about these microreactors, KRONOS included, is the safety aspect. Reduced risk.
Significantly reduced risk. They use advanced fuels, lower fuel volumes, and feature inherently safe designs. This allows them to be co-located right at customer sites.
Like AI data centers you mentioned, or mining sites, military bases, places where you just couldn't put a traditional large reactor or even some of the bigger SMRs.
Exactly. It opens up entirely new markets for nuclear power, closer to the point of need.
Okay, so beyond KRONOS itself, NNE is also expanding physically and working on other tech. They bought a facility in Illinois.
Yeah, acquired a pretty substantial demo and office facility in Oak Brook, Illinois, over 23,000 square feet.
And that includes a non-nuclear demo area.
It does. About 7,400 square feet for non-nuclear demos, which will be key for KRONOS development, plus space for up to 60 engineers and staff, and it'll serve as a regional demo site.
Building infrastructure, but also innovating, right? The ALIP pump.
Yes, the Annular Linear Induction Pump. They successfully assembled a prototype back in July for test loop validation. This is under the SBR Phase 3 program.
Okay, ALIP. Why is this tech such a big deal? It works for fission and fusion with molten salts or liquid metals.
It's potentially groundbreaking because it's fundamental for many next-gen reactors. Traditional pumps, they struggle with the extreme heat and corrosive nature of molten salts or liquid metals.
Right, moving parts don't like that environment.
Exactly. ALIP is an induction pump, no moving parts in the fluid stream. So it's inherently more robust, more reliable in those harsh conditions. It could enable whole classes of advanced reactors.
And NNE thinks they could sell this tech.
They're actively exploring it. Potential commercial sales later this year or maybe in 2026. Targeting large SMR makers, even space agencies, anyone needing reliable, compact pumps for tough environments.
So that could be a near-term revenue stream separate from the reactors.
Potentially, yes. A very interesting angle.
Okay, connecting this back to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
NNE sees nuclear fuel as the, quote, largest bottleneck for advanced reactors.
They do. And that conviction is driving this incredibly strategic focus on vertical integration, building out their own fuel supply chain capabilities.
Controlling their own destiny from the ground up. How are they tackling that?
Multiple angles. First, enrichment. NNE is a key subcontractor with LIS Technologies that's a related party in the DOE's big LEU enrichment acquisition program.
LEU being low-enriched uranium, and that DOA program is huge, right?
Massive, $3.4 billion over 10 years. Enlist owns a patented U.S.-origin laser enrichment technology. That's potentially a lower-cost domestic source for critical fuel.
Okay, enrichment covered. What about getting the fuel where it needs to go? Transportation.
They're building a dedicated business for that. Advanced Fuel Transportation, Inc., targeting operations by 2028.
And they've licensed tech for that.
Yes, a patented high-capacity HALO fuel transportation basket developed by U.S. national labs, and they've hired GNS, a leader in nuclear waste management, to actually manufacture and optimize it.
And they brought in logistics experts from UPS.
That's right. Former UPS executives are leading this subsidiary. That's a serious statement, bringing top-tier logistics know-how to this very specialized field. Shows they're taking the logistical challenge incredibly seriously.
Definitely. And they're even looking upstream, mining, milling.
Actively exploring it. They signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, with UR America, a private exploration company down in Argentina, exploring strategic development across Argentina's whole uranium fuel supply chain.
Wow. So this deep vertical integration, it's not just about de-risking the reactors.
No, it's explicitly designed to potentially generate near-term revenue from different points in the fuel cycle, too. It's a multi-pronged strategy.
To pull off something this ambitious, multifaceted, you absolutely need top talent.
You really do.
And NNE seems to be attracting some heavy hitters. Their executive advisory board includes former Energy Secretary Rick Perry.
Former Texas governor, too.
And on the board of directors, Dr. Death Burrell, global chief technologist at Intel.
Yeah, quite a name. And Vice Admiral Charles Leidig is chairing their executive advisory board for naval nuclear initiatives.
Oh, what kind of strategic impact do these powerhouse additions bring? Especially someone like Dr. Burrell from the tech world.
Oh, immense strategic expertise, connections, credibility. Perry's DOE experience, invaluable for policy and funding insights. Admiral Leidig's naval background, directly relevant for defense applications, rigorous standards.
And Dr. Burrell.
From Intel. That signals a serious commitment to cutting-edge tech, process optimization, maybe even using AI in reactor design and operations. These aren't just figureheads. They bring deep, specialized knowledge.
And they're hiring engineers, too.
Over a dozen new engineers recently, with plans for up to 60, building the core team.
And this growing significance is getting noticed externally. Index inclusions.
Yes, it's always a good validator. NNE was recently included in Selective's Global Uranium and Nuclear Components Index and the Global X-Uranium ETF. That increases their visibility, especially to institutional investors.
So this all ties into the macro trends, right? This global nuclear renaissance they talk about.
Absolutely. They're positioned to capitalize on it. And it's driven by these really powerful secular trends. Surging demand for clean, reliable power.
From AI data centers.
Yes, huge demand there. Industrial reshoring efforts, broader electrification globally. The demand picture is just massive.
And the forecasts back that up. Goldman Sachs projecting significant demand rise.
Yeah, Goldman projects U.S. electricity demand up significantly through 2030, and they think data centers alone could be over a third of that increase.
And NNE confirmed they're already in talks for AI data center projects.
Right, showing they're actively chasing that specific booming demand segment.
Plus, the policy environment seems incredibly supportive.
Unprecedentedly so, especially in the U.S. bipartisan legislative support, policy support, including those 4 executive orders from the Trump administration back in May.
Right, setting that national goal to quadruple nuclear capacity by 2050.
That kind of top-down support creates a very favorable landscape for companies like NNE.
Now, one strategic decision that might surprise some listeners, NNE didn't apply for that DOE Advanced Reactor Pilot Program.
Yeah, that was notable.
Why did they skip it?
They explained it pretty clearly on the call. They felt it would actually lead to higher costs for them, offer no real additional commercial benefit for their specific plans, and potentially even delay their existing UIUC project.
So it just wasn't a fit for their focus on rapid commercialization.
Exactly. A bold move, choosing their own faster path. Shows focus.
And they were also pretty upfront about supply chain challenges, weren't they? Things like nuclear-grade graphite.
Very realistic. They acknowledged global challenges for critical components like that graphite, and also reactor pressure vessels. While they plan to build a core manufacturing facility for most components themselves.
Right, the in-house plant.
They recognize these highly specialized items will need to be outsourced to experienced international vendors. You just can't spin up new capacity for nuclear-grade graphite overnight.
How long does that take?
Could take 7 to 10 years, they estimated. So you have to manage those external dependencies carefully.
Okay. So let's bring this together. What does this all mean for you, the listener, watching Nano Nuclear Energy? Their story is clearly shifting, isn't it?
Definitely. Shifting from that initial phase of asset acquisition, grabbing KRONOS, building the fuel cycle pieces, to a really strong emphasis now on in-house execution and site activation.
Making the plans real.
Exactly. It's all about delivery now.
And the positive market reaction to the earnings, even pre-revenue, that really underscores investor confidence that management can actually hit these critical operational milestones.
It does. And that huge cash balance we talked about. That provides a massive buffer, lets them be aggressive. They project burning about $40 million over the next 12 months.
Mostly staffing and operations.
Yeah, primarily.
Okay.
So they're well funded for the near term, for these immediate plans.
And they're setting up for the longer term, too, with that shelf registration.
Right. A 3-year universal shelf includes an ATM, an at-the-market facility, gives them flexible, efficient capital tools for future growth, maybe even M&A down the line.
So ultimately, investors are watching what? Licensing progress? Site work?
Keenly focused on continued progress there. Licensing, site work, eventual commercialization. Those are the inherent risks, right? Regulatory hurdles, schedule risks for these first-of-a-kind microreactor deployments.
The market's primary focus is really just de-risking the execution plan.
That sums it up perfectly.
All right. Now, for those of you on the metaphorical investment committee, let's shift gears slightly. Time for our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Ah, yes. The potentially audacious, yet surprisingly plausible, trade idea.
Lay it on us. What's the wild but plausible play you've cooked up based on this NNE update?
Okay, so considering NNE's really aggressive vertical integration into the fuel cycle, especially that determined move into transporting advanced fuels, targeting operations by 2028.
Okay.
You can maybe see a fascinating, almost counterintuitive arbitrage play emerge.
Arbitrage. Okay, I'm listening. What's the setup?
Imagine this. You take a long position in NNE, betting on their overall success. But you couple that with a short position.
Shorting what?
Shorting, say, a supply chain disruption volatility index, specifically for niche nuclear components. Think options or instruments that would spike if there was a severe unexpected bottleneck in the global supply of nuclear-grade graphite, maybe, or TRISO fuel fabrication outside the U.S.
Whoa, okay, that definitely hits the wild criteria. Explain the plausible part to me.
The rationale is this. NNE is actively working to solve future fuel transport bottlenecks themselves. Their open recognition of the challenges in sourcing critical stuff like graphite and pressure vessels globally, and their plan to manage it with partnerships.
Right. They seem very aware.
Exactly. They're acutely aware of future supply chain vulnerabilities that others might be ignoring or underestimating. So if NNE successfully de-risks not just transport, but maybe even makes inroads on the upstream fuel supply, mining, milling, conversion, and becomes a critical piece of the domestic nuclear infrastructure, then any major global supply chain shocks hitting those specialized esoteric materials like that graphite or those pressure vessels would actually disproportionately benefit companies with strong domestic or highly diversified sourcing strategies, like NNE's aims to have.
So it's a bet on NNE's resilience and foresight being rewarded if broader industry challenges bite harder than expected. They become a safe harbor.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's wild because it assumes a bigger global nuclear supply chain shock than what might already be priced in. But it's plausible because, look, this nuclear renaissance is global. And the scarcity of certain specialized components and expertise, that's a well-known industry secret, really. So if NNE navigates these rough waters better than competitors, becoming the go-to player not just for reactors, but for mastering that whole, often overlooked supply chain, well, the market's going to reward that resilience handsomely. It's a bet on their execution across the board.
A bet on mastering the entire ecosystem, not just the reactor box. That's certainly a thought provoker.
It is a complex one.
Okay, let's recap then. Nano Nuclear Energy Inc., NNE, delivered a solid quarter, highlighted by that EPS beat and that incredibly robust balance sheet.
Can't emphasize the cash enough.
For sure. The company's making real, tangible progress on deploying KRONOS to UIUC. They're expanding their physical footprint, advancing key tech like ALIP.
And that strategic focus on vertical integration in the fuel cycle really does position them well. Huge policy tailwinds, increasing demand for clean power.
Right. Now, execution risk remains, obviously. Licensing, commercialization, these are complex, especially for first movers. But that ample cash runway and their proactive approach to supply chain issues, it provides a genuinely compelling narrative in the advanced nuclear space.
It really does. But remember, folks.
Yes. the important bit. Nothing we've discussed here constitutes financial advice.
Please, always do your own thorough due diligence before making any investment decision.
Absolutely. We do invite your comments and questions, though, on this deep dive into nano nuclear energy, or the broader nuclear energy sector. We'd love to hear what you think.
Definitely.
Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.